Buckle up, folks, because today we're diving into something truly mind-blowing. We're talking about a physics engine, Genesis. They can run simulations, get this, 430,000 times faster than real time. It's like compressing years of data
hmm
into mere seconds. And this isn't just some theoretical concept. Genesis is already making waves in robotics, animation, really, you name it.
It's completely changing the game. A physics engine, it basically simulates the laws of physics,
Yeah.
but inside a virtual world. And Genesis is doing it faster than we ever thought possible.
And it's not just one brilliant mind behind this. We're talking about a massive collaborative effort with over 20 research labs working together. So spill the beans. What's the secret sauce that makes Genesis so ridiculously fast?
One of the key ingredients is GPUs. Those are specialized for parallel processing. Imagine you have a whole team of chefs all working together in perfect sync to cook this incredibly complex meal. That's kind of what a GPU allows Genesis to do.
So instead of relying on one single processor,
To handle everything.
Genesis can divide and conquer all those complex calculations.
Exactly. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. It also uses some really clever techniques for collision checking and memory management, like auto-hibernation. It basically puts parts of the simulation to sleep if they're not moving, so it doesn't waste any power on things that are just standing still.
So it's not just brute force, it's about being smart
Yeah.
and efficient. Very impressive. But let's get down to brass tacks. What can you actually do with a physics engine this fast?
The possibilities are mind-boggling. One area where we're already seeing huge potential is robotics. Genesis can actually generate robotic policies. Think of them as instructions that tell a robot exactly how to behave, and these can be transferred directly to real robots.
Oh, you could train a robot,
Yeah.
let's say to make a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
all inside the simulation,
Yeah.
and then have it do the same thing in real life.
Precisely. And because Genesis is so blazing fast, you can run thousands of simulations in the same time it would take to do just one in the real world. This means robots can learn so much faster and become adept at all sorts of complex tasks. The research you sent over even shows robots learning to heat corn in a microwave, sort books, and perform some seriously agile movements like backflips, all thanks to Genesis.
Backflipping robots.
Yeah.
Sign me up. That's not something you see every day. It really shows how Genesis is blurring the lines between the virtual world and reality. But what about applications beyond just robotics?
Well, character animation is another area where Genesis is making a splash. It can create incredibly realistic and fluid character movements, all driven by physics.
So instead of animators having to create every single frame
Yeah,
by hand, they can now use Genesis to simulate those movements naturally.
exactly. And the results are incredibly lifelike. We're talking about characters like a Wukong monkey doing all kinds of acrobatic feats, a samurai practicing martial arts, even a Roman soldier doing the zombie walk, all animated with incredible detail.
That's seriously impressive.
Yeah.
It sounds like Genesis could revolutionize the way we create animated content for
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
video games, everything.
Absolutely. And we're really just scratching the surface here. Genesis can also create these incredible interactive environments, and that's where things get really interesting. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Can't wait.
We were just talking about character animation, but Genesis goes way beyond that. We mentioned how it can create interactive environments.
Right.
Well, it can also generate what are called open world articulated objects. Think of objects that have interconnected parts that can move independently.
So like a robot arm with all its different joints, or a bicycle with wheels that turn and pedals that move.
Exactly. But it goes way beyond that, too. Imagine a clock with hands that actually tick, or a fully articulated human skeleton. And here's the kicker. Genesis can create these objects from scratch, going beyond what we typically see in, human design data sets.
That's incredible. So we're not just talking about simulating existing objects, it's actually creating new ones with all their moving parts, just
Yeah.
based on a set of rules.
It's like giving the engine a set of building blocks and letting it loose to design its own unique creations. Think about what that means for fields like engineering and design. You could rapidly prototype and test out new ideas all in a virtual space before ever building a physical prototype.
That would completely change the game. But can it handle the soft side of things? What about materials that aren't rigid, like fabrics or fluids?
Genesis has got that covered too. It can simulate soft robots, robots made from flexible materials, and even hybrid robots that combine soft and rigid components. One of the research papers even mentioned a robotic worm that moves just like a real worm, a teapot that can actually walk, and a soft gripper that can rotate a box with incredible dexterity.
A walking teapot. Now I got to see this in action. But seriously, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities for robots that can interact with the world in more nuanced ways.
Absolutely. Imagine search and rescue robots that can squeeze through tight spaces or robotic prosthetics that move more naturally and fluidly. The applications in healthcare disaster relief and manufacturing are just immense.
It's really remarkable how Genesis is pushing the boundaries of what's possible in robotics and beyond. But we haven't even touched on one of the most fascinating aspects, its ability to generate speech and facial expressions.
Right. Genesis can create virtual characters that not only move realistically, but also speak and express emotions, just like real people. Think of a virtual character that can hold a conversation, make eye contact, and even convey subtle nuances of emotion through facial expressions.
That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie. Are we talking about creating virtual beings that are almost indistinguishable from real humans?
That's the direction things are heading, and it has a potential to revolutionize fields like entertainment education and even therapy. Imagine incredibly lifelike virtual characters that can teach, entertain, and provide companionship in ways we never thought possible.
It's both exciting and a little bit daunting to think about the implications of a technology this powerful. But one thing that really struck me is that Genesis is open source. So it's not just a tool for researchers and developers. Anyone can access the code and contribute to its development.
Exactly. It's democratizing access to cutting edge technology and fostering a collaborative community of innovators. And that's what makes it so exciting. We're not just witnessing the birth of a new technology, we're seeing the emergence of a whole new ecosystem of creativity and collaboration.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a new era where the line between the virtual and the real is becoming increasingly blurred. What does this mean for the future? What kind of world are we creating with technologies like Genesis?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's one that we all need to be thinking about. Genesis has the potential to reshape industries, accelerate scientific discovery, and even change the way we interact with each other and the world around us. But it's up to us to ensure that we use this power responsibly and for the betterment of humanity.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Genesis, and I'm still processing all the incredible things we've discussed. What are your final thoughts on this groundbreaking technology? I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of what's possible with Genesis. It's clear that this technology could revolutionize so many aspects of our life.
Absolutely. We've talked about robotics, animation, interactive environments, even the ability to create virtual beings that can speak and express emotions. And because it's open source innovation is going to happen at an incredible pace.
It's kind of overwhelming to think about all the possibilities.
Yeah.
Where do you see Genesis having the biggest impact in the next few years?
That's a tough question because the potential applications are so vast, but I think we'll see major advancements in fields like healthcare manufacturing and education.
Can you give us some concrete examples? What might that look like in practice?
Sure, imagine surgeons using Genesis to practice complex surgeries in a virtual environment before they ever step foot in an operating room, or architects designing buildings that can adapt to changing weather conditions, all tested and optimized within a Genesis simulation.
And in education.
Imagine students learning about history by actually interacting with lifelike historical figures in a virtual world, or studying physics by conducting experiments in a simulated environment where they can manipulate variables and see the results immediately.
It sounds like Genesis could completely change how we learn, work, and even play.
Exactly. It's not just about doing things faster or more efficiently. It's about opening up entirely new possibilities that we never could have imagined before.
It's a powerful reminder that we're living in a time of incredible technological advancement. But as we've been discussing, with great power comes great responsibility.
That's a crucial point. As Genesis and other powerful technologies continue to evolve, it's vital that we think critically about the ethical implications and work together to make sure these tools are used for the right reasons.
So what can our listeners do to stay informed and engaged with this whole conversation?
I encourage everyone to learn more about Genesis and other emerging technologies, explore the open source code, read the research papers, and participate in discussions about the potential benefits and risks.
This has been an awesome deep dive into the world of Genesis, a technology that has the power to completely change our world. If you're interested in learning more, be sure to check out all the links provided on the MindSpark Science Now YouTube channel.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The future is full of possibilities, and it's up to all of us to shape that future in a way that benefits humanity.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey of discovery. Don't forget to like and share this episode with anyone who might be interested in the future of technology. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.